It's not the future, it's the now. There's something special about the atmosphere. There's something special about the electricity in the air. It is the hottest thing going today, and absolutely nothing in this world compares to NXT.
Hey, what's up, everybody, and welcome to another episode of PTW. That's Poor Taste Wrestling. I am JJ, Job Van Dam Travers, and I'm joined, as always, by Mike, the Wolverine Purcell, and Pat, the Hardcore Kid Ross. Got a good episode for you this week. I think the most surprising thing is 2 weeks in a row, we're going to have a lot of positive things to say about WWE. I know that's shocking. Believe me, I'm just as shocked as you are. We got a slew of exciting AEW news. There's some real life stuff going on for a bunch of WWE current and alumni. Yeah, got a good show tonight. I think we have to start off with what everybody's talking about, and that is NXT. So there's been a lot of rumors going around about this for a couple of weeks now, and it was finally confirmed yesterday, I believe, by WWE that NXT is going to stay at Full Sail, but it's going to be live. They're going to add an hour, so it's going to be 2 hours total, and it's going to be on the USA Network every Wednesday. And it's weird. Why would they choose Wednesday, guys?
Just a total coincidence. I mean, they were on Wednesday to begin with, so...
Yeah, that's true. I guess the real question is, why did they suddenly decide to expand it to 2 hours and turn it live and put it on to basic cable? But I'm sure there's no real reason.
And let's be clear, when we say add an hour and make it 2 hours, that's probably just an hour of commercial breaks that they're adding, more or less.
No, SmackDown's typically about a little over 90 minutes.
So like a half hour, yeah, and then like they'll probably throw in like, you know, an extra half hour of packages before each match, because why not?
I don't know, man. NXT has a massive roster. Like, I really don't think people realize how many people are on the show because it's only an hour, and they really limit how many people are on the show each week.
But I also think that's
which I like about it.
I was gonna say that's like what's really great about NXT is that you're not getting like overexposed to anybody, and you can look forward to seeing somebody that you didn't see one week the following week. So I mean, it's gonna be a good.
It's very true. Thing. It's very true, but like, is anyone really going to want to watch a 2 hour show that's almost half video packages? Like, I just don't see that being a good strategy.
That's what SmackDown is, pretty much.
Yeah, I think Mike's just making a joke that there's like nothing of substance on WWE television. I don't think he thinks that they're actually going to do that.
Well, Mike, which is it?
Nothing of substance.
Okay, that was the correct answer.
I'm cautiously optimistic about. Yes, yeah. I do. Like, I am kind of worried. I mean, obviously, because anything you do to mess with the formula that's worked for so long now. I mean, I feel like NXT has been, with some exceptions, it's not perfect, but it's been pretty great for like 5 years now. And anything that messes with that formula is going to get a lot of criticism. I'm so conflicted about it because there's rumors that Vince is going to be way more hands-on, but then there's rumors that Vince is going to be totally hands-off of everything because of the XFL, so who knows there, but I think one thing's for sure is that they are definitely, at least at first, going to be pulling out all the stops to try to fuck over AEW.
Yeah, no doubt. I wouldn't be surprised if they didn't have, like, returning former NXT stars showing up, like, the first couple weeks and everything like that.
I mean, honestly, given all the rumors that we heard, I feel like this is one of the best ways it could have gone. Like, people were saying it was going to move to a different arena, or it was going to be traveling around the country with Raw and SmackDown, or it was going to be on some special Fox channel. Like, it's staying in Full Sail, which I think is a big advantage over AEW, because every week AEW has to try to sell out a new arena, and they don't know what type of crowd they're going to get. Every week NXT is going to have a sold out arena and a crowd that loves their product and is going to go crazy for it. And that says something when you're a new viewer tuning in and everyone there seems like they're freaking out over it.
Do we think that's going to last forever, though? Because it's funny that you say that being in the same 500-seat arena in Florida week in, week out is a huge advantage, but isn't that the same thing we used to take dumps on TNA for weekly?
That's true, but TNA was run by Dixie Carter, Hulk Hogan, Kevin Nash, and had a bunch of like WWE veterans an alumni driving it into the ground and putting themselves over. Like, I don't expect to see anything close to that here.
Sure. TNA had plenty of other problems, but I mean, the Impact Zone itself was like the butt of many jokes. So I hope the enthusiasm keeps up, but like there's still lots of variables that are definitely going to change here. It's a different experience to buy one set of tickets, sit there for 3-4 hours to tape a month of storylines than it is to go there week in, week out.
That's a good point. I didn't even consider the cost of having to attend on a weekly basis at that point.
That alone, like, you're probably not going to get the exact same crowd weekly. That's going to start.
Which is probably good. I mean, that's probably a good thing for the NXT show, where you're not going to necessarily see the same crowd every single, like. I mean, they are some dedicated people, but, you know, at least if you're somebody that doesn't get to go often because it just keeps getting sold out to the same people, it's probably a plus.
Well, here's a question. Do you guys think that they would ever implement a season ticket model?
That's actually kind of an intriguing question.
Because they had tickets, because people had already bought tickets for September 11th and 12th for the tapings that were scheduled for then, and they refunded those, and they're giving them some kind of an option to get tickets to like a later show now that it's going to be live. So yeah, maybe that could be the beginning of some kind of season ticket model. That would be really cool.
I just can't. I mean, it would just be it's such a small venue. I can't imagine that like it'd be really fair. Like, how many season tickets can you give away before you've just filled the whole thing and nobody else can get tickets?
I don't think WWE cares about that, as long as it's full.
Yeah, and I also don't think that they would do something like that either, because that kind of defeats the purpose. I mean, everywhere that does a season ticket model, there's a certain amount for season tickets, and there's a certain amount for, you know, everybody else, and it's incentivizing people to like get on the waiting list, like. Buy an extra ticket and then we'll talk. Like they do. My dad said Patriot season tickets for 40 years. There's people that have been on the waiting list for like over 15 years to get season tickets. It's insane. And part of that is like incentivizing people with like
incentivizing.
We have a great product. Yeah, we have a great product. You want to be here, and if you don't have a certain amount of seats available for non-season ticket holders, then how do you advertise that fact? Like, you got to get people who don't have them in the building to see how great it is and to want to get on that list. And this is, you know, all hypothetical. Like, they very well probably won't do that, but I think it would be really cool if they experimented with something like that, because it would be an easy way to guarantee that you're filling a certain amount of seats with passionate, diehard fans. And it would also be an easy way to lower the price for them and make it easier for them to attend.
All I know is, as a non-live viewer who doesn't really watch Wednesday nights, and I kind of pick it up on Thursday, more or less, I'm sure my viewing experience probably isn't going to change very much. You know, maybe there'll be like an extra half hour of NXT each week, but I feel like for most of us, like, the experience probably isn't going to change. It might feel a little bit more exciting with it being live, but I mean, realistically, like, how much can we expect it to change if it's staying in Florida every week?
Well, I think it's going to change quite a bit. Just because it's in the same arena, I think that's about the only constant that we're going to see. Because again, this is all to try to mess with the competition. This is all in response to AEW.
So we'll get genius ideas coming from Vince that he thinks are good, but are actually bringing down the product.
Well, it's actually really smart to use NXT to compete with AEW.
No, it's genius. Yeah, that is a genius move.
Because they compete with for the same kind of wrestling fan. So the hardcore fans are going to be super stoked for AEW, but they're the ones that watch NXT live weekly and pay to go to takeovers and all this stuff. So I'm definitely looking forward to it.
But are you looking forward to it over AEW though? Like, if you're going to watch a show live, are you going to choose NXT over AEW? And like, just as like kind of like a follow-up question, like, to me personally, I think this is like the weakest NXT roster it's been in a really long time. And I'm curious to to know if you guys think the same.
Well, I'm looking forward to the entire aspects of it. Like I think it's going to bring back some of that Monday Night War feel, like switching back and forth, like a commercial for AEW. I'll check out what NXT is doing, and vice versa. It's going to bring back those days of like anything can happen on either channel.
And like, who knows what AEW is going to look like a month or 2 months in. Like, are they going to be able to have consistent storylines that people are interested in? Are they going to have good matches? Are they going to have a roster that's filled out enough that you don't get bored of seeing this same like 3 to 4 top guys go back and forth with each other every week? Like, we don't know what it's going to look like. So NXT could very well have something that interests me a lot more than AEW. I don't know. And if they're going to be on 2 hours live every week, just like SmackDown, and live on USA, just like Raw, doesn't that kind of raise them up out of the the minor leagues and put them on the same level as the other 2 shows? So I would not be at all surprised if we see them start moving talent down to NXT.
That's a good point. They've said for a good while that NXT is its own brand. It's not just developmental anymore. It's its own thing. And I think this move actually kind of cements that and does show. It almost has a leg up on SmackDown and Raw in the sense that, at least right now, like, it doesn't interchange rosters like SmackDown and Raw does. So when you are tuning into NXT, like, you're expecting the NXT roster. You're not thinking like, oh, I'm probably going to see X, Y, and Z, and then, Roman Reigns is going to show up because of the wild card rule. Like, you're really only getting NXT, and in a way, it's its own thing the way it's presented, at least at this point. So it kind of makes it even more fresh and exciting to watch than, SmackDown or Raw is.
And to your point, JJ, they've already started kind of bringing people down. We see Tyler Breeze and Fandango going back down there. But
Breezango?
Yes.
Wait, Fandango is back down on NXT?
Yeah.
Yeah, he had his debut match back after, 13 months off from injury. It was awesome. You should go back and watch it. They have a new finisher, too. I don't even think they have a name for it yet. It was a great match.
He came back.
I actually haven't watched NXT in a while. Are they teaming up?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's Breezango.
Okay, cool.
Fandango came back to save Tyler Breeze from a beatdown.
Oh, that's
the Forgotten
awesome.
Sons. Yeah, it was great. The crowd went nuts for it.
Yeah, they are really hot right now with that crowd.
So hot right now, just like Hans.
I was worried about Breeze, and bringing Fandango in is perfect.
Fandango was using a move set I've never seen from him before, and just doing shit that you would expect to see from Buddy Murphy and Daniel Bryan. He was just lighting it up. It was really good.
He's legitimately good. It's good. It's kind of too bad that his main roster careers worked out the way it did. He's just one of those guys that he's so naturally funny that's what he just constantly gets saddled with is goofy comedy angles. But he's in incredible shape, and he can definitely go. Yeah, so we're seeing people like that being kind of brought back down to NXT or brought over now because like you were saying, it's on equal footing now, except for the smaller kind of static arena that it's always in. But other than that, it's a 2-hour live show on basic cable. It's on equal footing with Raw and SmackDown. But I think the biggest sign of WWE really treating it like that is if we start to see somebody a Sami Zayn level go back to NXT and have a feud, or someone who's not even an NXT alum. I can't think of anyone right now, but someone like that mid-card level, if they start going to NXT, or if when they do the next draft or a superstar shakeup, if NXT is part of that in terms of a destination rather than people just being called up, I would
love that.
Yeah, I think that's when I'll start to believe that WWE believes that it is truly the third brand.
There's so much potential there for great matches too. Think about turning on your TV and seeing Kevin Owens walk out in an Undisputed Era shirt with the other guys. That was a faction, not Undisputed Era, but I forget what they called themselves. The Mount Rushmore. Yeah, in PWG and Ring of Honor. Like, imagine seeing that. Imagine seeing the 4 horsewomen of WWE versus the 4 horsewomen of MMA with a Ronda Rousey return. Like, there's so much potential for really cool factions and matches, invasion angles. There's a ton of stuff they could
Would you say that Drew McIntyre was NXT mid-card?
I meant WWE mid-card.
Oh, okay.
I wouldn't. No. He was NXT champion. His reign wasn't the best.
Yeah, it was very short, right?
They called him up pretty quickly, but I liked his work in NXT. I mean, he was hot as hell in WWE until they made him Shane's henchman and just kept having him lose to people like Cedric Alexander. And I'm just not sure what they're doing with him right now. Like, everybody's picking him as a winner for King of the Ring, so I'm not sure if this is like an attempt to rebuild him or something.
It would make sense to give him like a crown and robe and give him that like king gimmick, being Scottish, and he can be the king of the Scots or something like that. And
I don't know. I mean, we'll dive into King of the Ring later, but I don't think I see Ricochet losing to him in the first round.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I would love to see AJ Styles screw him over. I think that would be an easy way to have Ricochet lose.
That makes sense.
There's going to be plenty of shenanigans there. But yeah, before we move off of the NXT subjects, a lot of the wrestling world reacted to this when the news came out. And like the Young Bucks reacted before the news was even made official. They said something like, "We're not afraid," or something like that.
They said, "We aren't scared."
Yeah, and then when it was made official, they said, "Bring it on." And Jericho said some Jericho stuff. But I think the most insightful tweet of the bunch was from Andrade, which said, quote, "Hey, as a former NXT champion, can you please comment on this? NXT is going live on the USA Network." So he just... translation error, copy pasted something that his production assistant told him to tweet.
Did he delete that?
He did delete it, yeah.
That is fucking hilarious.
Somebody pointed out that Asuka did the same thing once. Like, she tweeted something that was like, "Hey Asuka, can you please tweet about your appearance at this mall next week?" Good stuff.
That is amazing. Yeah, I mean, a lot. I mean, it'd be weird if the company didn't ask them to comment on it. So, like, I don't see that as a big deal. It's just hilarious that he made that goof.
No, and people, like, who was it? Somebody was like, "Oh, yeah, I didn't..." Oh, it was Joey Ryan was like, "I didn't go to WWE because I don't want to be told what to tweet." And it's just like, yeah, I mean, just like you just said, like, of course WWE is going to be like, "Hey, like, please spend 5 seconds hyping this up because it's a really big deal." I don't think that's too much to ask,
yeah,
or like crazy corporatism. Yeah.
No, and how many people got their start in NXT or like have landmark matches in there, like Sasha and Bailey? Like, that is why they're as popular as they are, because of their rivalry in NXT. Like, Sami Zayn had a special time there. Shinsuke, Finn, Kevin Owens, Drew McIntyre. Like, there's so many people that had amazing matches and storylines in NXT. So for these people to tweet about it and then get criticized, like, "Oh, it's just because WWE's telling him to," like, that's fucking stupid.
Yeah, for sure. I think that a ton of current WWE, both main eventers and mid-card guys, have a very soft spot for NXT because that's where they got their start. So of course they would want to try to hype it up.
And like we were saying, like, maybe some of them are like, "Hey, now that this is going to be on the same level as Raw and SmackDown and weekly and live, like, maybe I can go back." Or maybe there's guys that aren't doing much on the main roster that either got called up or were never in NXT that want a shot wrestling there.
Yeah, I'm sure there's a lot of guys that are just kind of not doing much on the main roster right now.
Yeah,
like,
they would love to go down.
Like, I bet the Viking Raiders weren't stoked that they were called up for any reason besides, like, the pay bump. So if it's going to be... And that's another question that I have. If NXT guys are going to get more pay because of, like... Because
I mean, it's even all based on, like, the house, like, rake-in, right? So, I mean, I can't imagine that they would make as much as, like, a quote-unquote main roster because they're not filling a stadium like they would with SmackDown or Raw.
No, but they'll make more than they are right now just through pure exposure because that means more merchandise sales.
Yeah, and even the
royalties as well.
And like like the commercials and stuff like that, the advertising being sold, like I'm sure they get a cut of that in some way, or at least they can get their pay bumped via that.
Dave Meltzer was saying that WWE's getting more than $50 million to put NXT on the USA Network, which is insane. That's like, I mean, they got like $300 million for the Raw and SmackDown deals, I think. I could be wrong there, but that's what I remember the figure being.
Originally with USA, but Fox paid WWE like something insane, like over $1 billion for SmackDown.
Yeah, that's right. $300 million was just for Raw, I think. That's right. But I mean, either way, $50 million for a show they were already producing is a pretty good deal.
Yeah, I mean that was like, you know, nothing to. I mean, yeah, they're already doing it,
and like you said. Like we said, it's not going anywhere, so it's not like their production values are going to increase that much. Like, they're going to have people there longer and produce more video packages, but it's not that different because instead of just doing like 5 shows at a time, they're just doing like the same thing, like a lot of content, but just in a little bit of a smaller time frame. So it's not like they're not experienced with doing, you know, a lot of stuff in one taping. Yeah, so I forget who it was earlier, but when we were talking about Drew, we mentioned King of the Ring. So WWE announced the full bracket. We knew the King of the Ring was happening. We knew who was going to be in it, but we didn't know what the bracket was going to be. And it's pretty sick. There's a lot of stuff that I look at on the bracket, and I'm like, I have no idea who's going to win this match, which is exactly what I want when I'm looking at a King of the Ring bracket. It's no fun when you look at it and you can see exactly who's going to march through each match to the finals. So I was pretty pleased with it. Did you guys look it over yet?
Yeah, no, and I mean, we're underway. We had 2 matches this week for the brackets.
Was it only 2?
Yeah, actually, so. It may have been more than that.
Well, because we had Kevin Owens Elias, and for some reason they were making Kevin Owens look like a little bitch. And then we had Apollo Crews and Andrade, and then Cesaro and Samoa Joe.
Sami Zayn and Cedric.
Next one I was going to say. So I think, so we had 4 out of them.
Yeah, 2 per show. So we got the first round completed this week. And yeah, it was great. To JJ's point, like there were a lot of... Oh, I'm sorry, not the entire first round. We still have a couple left, but...
it's about half.
Yeah, but... yeah, there have been great matchups. I mean, Samoa Joe versus Cesaro on Raw was awesome. And so was Cedric versus Sami Zayn. And the cool thing is that those are like 2 totally different styles and 2 totally different matchups. And I think that was a lot of the strength of Raw and SmackDown this week. Because we were mentioning it was actually another week of like really good WWE shows. There was lots of good wrestling, and who would have thunk it that a like wrestling tournament would produce good wrestling matches? I don't understand Vince's aversion to tournaments, because it gives, like, sure, they could have just done like Cesaro versus Samoa Joe with no backstory, and it would have been fine or even good. But here, there's something on the line. There's a prize to be won. There's something that they're fighting for. There's some kind of a reason for this match to be happening, and that is all you need with wrestling. I don't
where wins and losses matter.
Yeah, like I don't understand.
It's not a tricky formula.
It's not a tough formula. Yeah, that's what I'm getting at. Like it's really simple, and that very simple thing just added so much to these matchups that otherwise I wouldn't have cared that Cedric was fighting Sami Zayn. I mean, it's 2 talented guys that I like plenty, but it just wouldn't matter. But when there's stakes on the line, like you're invested. Down your phone and you watch. Yeah,
you get invested. There's a reason.
I think what's interesting is the way the bracket has been laid out. I feel like there's no clear winner and loser, because everybody that's going up against somebody else is like they're kind of in each other's league. Like even like if you look at like Chad Gable and Shelton Benjamin, like I could see them wanting to push either one of those guys and getting the win. Like putting Samoa Joe against each other, I really didn't know who was going to come out the winner. But if you had put like Samoa Joe against Chad Gable or Cesaro against Shelton Benjamin, like I'd probably say Samoa Joe or Cesaro was going to come out the winner in that.
You could see it going either way, and next week we'll have Ali versus Buddy Murphy. it's not only that that either one of them's believable. I feel like both of them need this win to keep the momentum going that they have.
Well, quick side note here with Ali before we keep going. They dropped his program with Shinsuke, and someone asked him about it on Twitter, and he just replied with one word, yes. So he really needs it.
Yeah. Well, he got the match at Smackville, which even I didn't watch, and I watched 205 Live.
I forgot about that.
Yeah. So yeah, I guess that's how they wrapped up that storyline. But
man, poor Ali.
Yeah, poor Ali. But I love the idea of pairing Shinsuke with Sami Zayn. I loved that segment on Tuesday this week.
Yeah, it was fantastic. Like, they're both just like, I mean, Shinsuke is like a smarmy dickhead without even talking. It's just like his mannerisms, like just the way he looks at people. And then you have like the dickhead mouthpiece in Sami Zayn. Yeah, like you said, what's not to like here?
Yeah, and a lot of people were saying like, oh, like it's really boring that The Miz is going to be going for the IC title again. I don't necessarily think that segment was setting up a feud with The Miz. I like it was just Miz TV. That's just the backdrop for like a lot of these segments. For whatever reason, we have to have two talk shows per show.
I didn't take it like that at all.
Yeah, so I mean, for all we know, Shinsuke could still feud with Ali. He would just have Sami Zayn as his mouthpiece, and the feud would be that much better for it.
That would be really cool because I do not see Ali beating Buddy Murphy. Buddy Murphy just beat Daniel Bryan on SmackDown.
Yeah, he's pretty hot right now.
Yeah, he's been on a tear.
Yeah, and he came like super close to beating Roman Reigns.
He had a 4-star match with them. People were losing their minds over it. Even Meltzer. I'm pretty sure that's what he gave. Actually, I think he gave it like 4.25.
At least 4, yeah. Yeah, something like that. It was a great match, and I thought that his match with Daniel Bryan was awesome too. Yeah, the King of the Ring is really shaping up. And they announced we're going to get the finals at Clash of Champions in September.
Cool.
Which is cool. If we're not going to get a whole pay-per-view dedicated to King of the Ring, and I will concede that does kind of get tiresome. I see why they don't do that anymore. But I am really happy that the finals are happening on a pay-per-view. I think, remembering back to the last time they did King of the Ring, where Bad News Barrett won, the finals were like taped after SmackDown, and it was like a network exclusive or something like that.
What?
At like 10 p.m. on a Tuesday. Yeah, like just clearly did not matter.
Like, why even do it at that point?
I think that was back, like, I mean, not to get on a total tangent about the network, but that was back when they were just kind of trying everything. Because, like, remember they did one time, they were advertising a match after Raw that was exclusive to the network. They had like a US title match at like
haven't they done the same thing with like Facebook Live or whatever it's called?
Yeah, they've tried a few things to try to get people to move over to their digital platforms after the USA show's over. But anyway, this time it's just going to be part of a pay-per-view, which instantly makes the King of the Ring way more prestigious than it was last time.
You're giving people a reason to tune in to Raw and SmackDown every week. Like, you're giving them something to track. It's not like a storyline, but it is, if that makes sense, and that there's not like something individual happening with each of these people on like a one-on-one basis. It's just like a big, large storyline that everyone's a part of.
Yeah, and if they're good at it, if they're good at like writing it, they will continue the individual storylines in this backdrop of the King of the Ring tournament. And that's like, it's such a simple thing, like we were saying, but it just makes for such interesting storytelling and matchups.
And if you go through the bracket, we got Cesaro and Samoa Joe. Cesaro got eliminated, but like I think it was you said earlier, it was a fantastic match. They beat the shit out of each other. I really didn't know who was going to win.
Yeah, the way that Cesaro just kicked it off by just running full steam ahead.
Yeah, that was awesome.
Oh, that uppercut. Yeah, that was great. We got Ricochet and Drew McIntyre, which I don't know. I mean, I'm leaning towards Drew because of how much they're talking about him.
Ricochet, considering you'd probably want to keep it heel versus face.
Yeah, I was just going to say the same thing. That kind of starts to telegraph things. So you would.
I don't know. Does that matter until you get to the finals?
They seem to really not like to do heel versus heel. Face versus face is another thing. But I don't know.
I feel like this isn't traditional though, you know?
Right.
Like I could see like face versus face and them doing like the handshake and like, hey, good competition there, you know, because it's not a storyline. Like after this match, they're not going to keep interacting. So that's why I think like we shouldn't hold them to that here.
Yeah, well, that's what I mean. Face versus face, they don't necessarily have a problem with. But like, what do you do with heel versus heel, where the crowd, in theory, doesn't like either one of them? And
but that never applies though. Like that's just like an old way of thinking. Like
no, they keep it that way.
No, people love Joe.
I know people love Joe, but like from a kayfabe point of view, you're not supposed to like Joe. So they're not going to want to put Joe against McIntyre because you just boo both of the people, and then that doesn't make.
That's not going to happen though. Like we know that's not going to happen.
What do you mean?
They're gonna cheer the shit out of Joe and the match because it'll probably be fucking awesome.
Yeah, I mean, but that's the thing. It's like, I mean, that's what would happen. But you know, do you think Vince wants people cheering for Joe because he's supposed to be a heel still?
I don't know. I don't think it's a big deal because it's just again one match. Like it's not a program. They wrestle here, it's over. So if there's one match where two heels are getting cheered or one of them is, like, it really doesn't matter.
Yeah, there's a lot of things that the entire planet doesn't see as a big deal, but it's all about the audience of one. It's all about what Vince McMahon thinks.
It's very true. So yeah, we got Ricochet and Drew McIntyre. Cedric Alexander beat Sami Zayn. That match was fantastic. I don't think I had really even seen Cedric's finishers because he'd been wrestling Drew McIntyre and can't really do them to Drew because Drew is like 3 times his size.
And because you don't watch the best show produced by WWE today, 205 Live.
Yes, that is true.
How many weeks has it been, Pat?
Oh, it's been at least 5 or 6. Quick 205 Live corner here. This week, the entire show was one match. It was 50 minutes long. And it was
it's ridiculous.
It was a 5-on-5. They didn't call it this, but it was like a Survivor Series match basically because it was an elimination 5-on-5 match. So it was basically like 5 matches in one, and it was just insane. It was so good. It's such a good show. And if you like wrestling and you don't like 205 Live, you are stupid.
All right. So
thanks, Randy.
You don't want to be stupid, guys. Watch 205 Live. All right, so the next match we got on this side of the bracket is probably the only match in the whole tournament that I could give 2 shits about, and that's The Miz and Baron Corbin. As much as I love The Miz, like, I know he's not going to win this. I know this isn't for him, so, like, who cares? So then on the other side of the bracket, we got Kevin Owens and Elias. Elias went over on Owens through Shane McMahon's.
Who could have seen that coming?
Ah, man,
trickery.
Sorry, I want to get into a segue here because it really upsets me that Kevin Owens goes to Shane McMahon, apologizes, practically grovels, begs to not get fined, and then, tries to play the good guy, and then goes out and gets beat by Elias and just looks like a fool. And, I mean, would they have ever done this to Stone Cold? Like, they're trying to make him, like, that next guy, like,
I don't think
raw,
so at all.
Like, tough guy. Like,
I don't see like Kevin Owens in a Stone Cold vein, and I don't think that that's what they're trying to do with him.
Then what are they trying to do with him? Because he is so up.
I thought for weeks that was absolutely what they were trying to do.
Yeah,
with him,
like that's what I did too.
They gave him the stunner. He was stunning McMahon's. He was defying
going on
authority.
Rants. Yeah,
he was taking over shows.
And now he's just apologizing and begging for forgiveness.
Yeah,
exactly. That's why I don't see it. Like, it wasn't going to last.
Yeah, this week really rubbed me the wrong way, where he just kind of went backstage and, like, quietly apologized to Shane for flying off the handle for something that was, like, completely justified to be mad about.
Yeah.
Oh, one quick point on that. Did you notice what Shane was doing when Kevin came into the office?
I don't remember.
He was like using his shirt to buff his television that was broken previously, and he had a brand new one.
Oh yeah, he cares very much about that, like 32-inch HD TV.
It's such a small detail, but I really love that
$300
TV to do that.
He's like Michael Scott with that tiny TV.
Yeah, I just stand here all night. I just think it is a really small. But
I finally got myself a TV. It's like a
anyway,
multi-millionaire.
Yeah, I really love that they do that. I think it's amazing. Probably no one cares. Whatever. Yeah, I don't think Kevin Owens is going to be Stone Cold. I don't think he can be Stone Cold. I don't think that's what they're going to do with him. I don't know what the plan is here because I think everyone is sick to death of him and Shane, but whatever. We got to get through the rest of this. Ali and Buddy Murphy. This match is going to be insane. I know Buddy Murphy's going to win, but I don't really care because I just can't wait to watch it.
Yeah, he's been so impressive.
Like, just really showing the world what he can do. He calls himself the best kept secret, but not anymore because he's been putting on these crazy matches. He's been getting, like, crazy opportunities. Like, not everyone gets to face Roman Reigns one week, then Daniel Bryan the next, when, like, a month ago, I bet 50% of people that watch WWE couldn't even pick him out of a crowd. And he is seizing the opportunity. Those both those matches were so good.
Yeah, I forget who it was that said it too. Somebody was like, "Oh yeah, this is the biggest match of his career," and like that wasn't even being facetious. Like that literally was probably the biggest win that he's ever had up to this point.
2 quick points on that. One, did you hear his new theme music? Because I do not like it at all.
Yeah, it's trash.
Yeah, it was weird.
And I think that kind of is where that whole rumor of CFOs like possibly breaking up with WWE comes from, because his new theme and Elias's new theme were terrible.
Oh yeah, Elias's was awful too.
And the Titantron was stupid too. Second point, the other reason I think this is happening for Buddy Murphy is because of the era that we're in. If this was like 10 or 15 years ago, this wouldn't be happening, because from all reports, and I believe this from everything I know about Roman has been asking to work with Buddy Murphy. And you know Daniel Bryan's the same way, was probably happy to go on his back for the guy. Like, there's no way that would have happened in the Attitude Era or during Cena's era even.
And I love that the rumor is that, like, Buddy Murphy originally wasn't even supposed to be part of this whole whodunit storyline. It was just fans on Twitter pointing out that he was walking away as it was happening, and like that wasn't even part of the plan. But since people pointed that out, they like incorporated it into this like storyline. It's so funny how things like that in wrestling just happen, and somebody's career is like completely changed because of it.
Yeah, think of like Drake Maverick. Like he, it was just kind of like a one-off thing for him to be a part of that 24/7 title, and now, like it made his career so far.
It's all about just like these weird little opportunities that you get for sometimes totally random reasons, and just what you do with it. It's all about grabbing those brass rings.
So next we got Chad Gable and Shelton Benjamin. Who would have thought that Shelton Benjamin would be like one of the funnier things on SmackDown? He has been hilarious.
So weird. Like, what's the end game there?
I don't care. Like, it doesn't matter to me at all. I'm like, it's Shelton Benjamin. Like, who cares where it goes? I'm just gonna enjoy it while it lasts. It's like having a sandcastle before you know the tide's gonna come in and ruin it. Like, it's here for a little while. Let's enjoy it while it lasts.
You must be this tall. The King of the Ring tournament. That was good stuff. But that scares me because there's been rumors that they're going to change Chad Gable's name to Shorty G.
Ugh.
And if they're still making short jokes about it, that could be coming. Shorty G could be here sooner than later.
Good shit.
Is it sad that Tom Phillips on commentary said something about these two guys being former tag team partners, and I had to like rack my brain to remember that?
Oh, they were like the new American Alpha for like a brief stint, right?
Yeah, like right after the most recent brand split, they were a tag team for like a little while.
Speaking of which,
that.
Whatever happened to Jason Jordan? I know he got injured, but like,
that was
is he just done for good?
Yeah, it was like if he came back and wrestled again, it was either he could die or be paralyzed. He's a producer.
He's an agent now. Yeah, it sucks because, and I loved Jason Jordan's storyline at the end there as like just like the goofy son of like Kurt Angle, who it was so good. It was just like it was like Kurt Angle 2.0, like the oblivious guy who is really talented but doesn't realize that everyone hates him. And it sucks that it got cut short.
All right. Last match is Apollo Crews and Andrade. We saw Andrade win. So my question for you guys, who is your pick to win it all?
Well, all right. So I'm thinking like if my theory holds true and they have to do heel versus babyface. So we've got Joe going to be against Ricochet, and then Cedric versus Baron. I'm assuming Baron's going to take that one, so that means Ricochet will probably take that. And then Elias, Buddy Murphy. What do we got? Andrade. They're both kind of... Chad and Shelton are both face, but I think they're probably going to push Chad Gable. Man, I feel like it's just like... It's got to be Ricochet, right? Like he's the new
going with.
He's the new shiny toy. So
I got a different pick.
Yeah, I got a different pick too. Mine would be Andrade.
Oh, I would like.
That's
Andrade.
my pick.
I would like Andrade a lot. I could see it being Ricochet and Andrade in that final match though.
Yeah, and that would be off the fucking charts match.
Yeah.
If they give that like 15 minutes, that would be crazy. But yeah, I do. I mean, point taken that Ricochet is kind of the new shiny toy, and that does kind of lend credence to maybe Buddy Murphy going further than he like originally was pegged to. But I see King of the Ring as more of an opportunity to finally kickstart the Andrade push that has been long talked about and kind of started and stopped over and over again. I think this is the perfect opportunity to pull that trigger.
Yeah, you basically took most of what I was going to say. That's my pick as well. I think it's going to come down to Buddy Murphy. Buddy Murphy.
Buddy Murphy.
Yeah, so Buddy Murphy and Andrade. And then on the other side of the bracket, I think it's going to come down to Ricochet and Baron Corbin. And then we'll see Ricochet and Andrade in the finals, with Andrade walking away. He's just too good. And Selena Vega is such an awesome manager. Like, she brings so much value to him. She's kind of like in the role of what Sami Zayn is going to be seemingly for Shinsuke, except he'll actually wrestle. I just feel like he's over with the crowd, even as a heel. He's incredible in the ring. He has great chemistry with people. Like, his program that kind of never was with Rey Mysterio was incredible. I still hope that eventually becomes something. But yeah, I just think he's like the obvious choice here.
Well, now maybe he's going to be able to have a match with Dominic, because that's where we're headed now.
I forgot about that.
Man, I will say it is a good thing that Rey Mysterio won custody of Dominic all those years ago, because that pep talk Monday just made it all worth it.
Look at where he could have been if he had lost custody. Maybe retired. He would have taken that mask off.
He would have taken the mask off. I get that they want Dominic in just because it's like Rey Mysterio's son, but he has no presence whatsoever. He just seems like this meek kid.
This just in, he is a meek kid.
It was like a really touching moment with Rey Mysterio, and then it just got really awkward when he came in. I felt like they were gonna like kiss on the lips at one point, like the way Dominic was holding Rey, and they like looked at each other. I'm like, are they really? Is this gonna happen?
It was like a Titus O'Neil situation.
It made me think about Cartman and Mr. Jackson.
Oh yeah. That whole thing was really weird, and just even the whole thing about like Rey Mysterio being like, "Oh, I'm just not good enough anymore." Like, no one in the crowd thinks that. People still love Rey Mysterio, and just because he lost to like Andrade, it seems like an overreaction in kayfabe to me.
Yeah, he was just having like a midlife crisis or something. Because it was just like Dominic comes in, and he was like, "Don't leave, do it for me, Dad." And he's like, "All right, son, I'll do it for you." It's like, what was that all for?
I know. And like him taking off the mask, I don't know. Like, we've seen him without the mask. He wrestled in WCW without the mask for multiple years.
It was really stupid, but like one of those really stupid wrestling things that I thought was hilarious and therefore enjoyed. But Rey is so much better, that being said, than segments with his son that no one gives a shit about. So we got to talk about this really quick before we move on, because I want to talk about AEW. But the XFL, Vince McMahon's baby, that he's supposedly going to be stepping away from WWE for, it announced the logos and the names of their 8 teams. So there's the Dallas Renegades, the Houston Roughnecks, the LA Wildcats, the St. Louis Battlehawks, the Seattle Dragons, the Tampa Bay Vipers, the DC Defenders, and the New York Guardians.
So I actually don't hate any of these names except for the Wildcats. That one's pretty generic. but I like. I mean, the name the Roughnecks is kind of whatever, but I do really like that they pay an homage to the Houston Oilers.
I was
logo.
just gonna say that. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's really smart because they lost that team a long time ago.
It's going to bring a lot of people from Houston there just for the whole nostalgia and pride thing.
Absolutely.
I thought, like you said, that was such a smart move.
The team names themselves are fine, but most of these logos are trash. Like, I mean, I guess what can you do with the dragons? But
yeah, they don't bother me. I think they're actually kind of nice.
I think all of them are really cool except for the Vipers. I thought the Vipers should have been like an actual snake and not just a V, but
it should have been Randy Orton's face.
Yeah, but besides that one, I think they're all fine. Like, have you seen most sports logos? They are by default like pretty fucking dumb.
Yeah, good point.
Yeah, so go DC Defenders, I guess.
Yeah.
I can't bring myself to root for New York, and DC would be
I will
the
never
closest
root
team.
for a New York team.
And it's a decent logo, kind of a cool name. So
I
I'm going Defenders.
I like the name Battlehawks, so I'm thinking I'm gonna go Battlehawks. Their logos I think is the best. It's like a sword with wings.
Yeah, that is kind of cool.
It looks like some kind of like branch of the military or something.
They have a haiku, not a haiku, but they've got like a saying. If you click on like their team, their saying is winged warriors preparing for flight, preparing to fight. They await their orders, then attack as one, diving, dodging, swooping, striking. Their mission, create chaos. Their mandate, win at all costs. The St. Louis Battlehawks cleared to engage, February 2020.
Wow.
So stupid.
Oh,
they all have one. Oh, man.
That was one of the lamest things I've ever heard. Let's
or
let's
the
move on.
Wildcat. Oh, you don't want to keep going? You don't want to hear the Wildcat?
It was cool until you brought that up, Muff. Thanks for ruining it. All right. AEW, bunch of news here. The war starts soon, and TNT is going to be airing an AEW special prior to All Out, and they're going to announce a contest to win a trip to the TV debut. So if you want to go to the first taping of AEW, which is sure to be totally insane and probably one of the coolest moments in wrestling history, be sure to be watching TNT before All Out goes on, which is on the 31st, right?
All Out is the 31st, yes.
Yeah, so the count... Oh, I'm sorry. It's actually going to be on the 30th. The special countdown to All Out is going to be on Friday, August 30th at 10 p.m. Another piece of exciting news is we got tickets to the second taping. I never, ever, ever have good luck with tickets for events that are popular. Like anytime I get in line in Ticketmaster for something that's supposed to sell out quickly, I always end up getting there's 20,000 people in front of you. Oh, sorry, all the tickets are gone. But the three of us, I think that was it, all got in line together. Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And it said right off the bat, I was waiting in the lobby, and as soon as it transitioned over, there was only 400 people in front of me. So I tried to get us $50 tickets initially. And what's annoying about it is you can't just say, like, give me 6 tickets in this row and have it select them all. You have to individually click the seat and then click buy tickets. So every time I did this, it would say tickets aren't available, but the seats didn't remove from the map as being available. So the map that you were selecting your tickets from wasn't keeping up with the system. They were being sold too fast for it, apparently, or their servers were just fucked. So I had to try to keep track of where I was clicking and what sections. And I tried this like 6 times and then just gave up and went to the $75 tickets. And after clicking 6 tickets twice, I was able to get us 6 in a row, which I was astonished by. And our seats are actually really good.
Yeah, I'm very excited that you're my friend and you got these tickets.
Yeah, so we have a pretty clear picture. They were announcing more stuff. So they announced that after the show in Boston and Philadelphia, the next 2 are going to be in Pittsburgh and Charleston, West Virginia. So the West Virginia one's kind of out of left field to me.
That is weird.
Definitely the smallest market they've been in yet. I don't know. Maybe there's a fervent wrestling scene that I don't know about there. And we know what at least a couple things per show here. So we're going to see in Boston Jon Moxley versus Sean Spears. which if you told me 2 years ago I was going to be super stoked to see Dean Ambrose versus Ty Dillinger, I would think you were drunk, but I am. And we're going to be able to see the Young Bucks versus Private Party in a tag team titles tournament.
Wait
match.
for that.
In Philadelphia, we will see, which is the next week, October 16th. It'll be the first ever AEW World Title defense. So it's going to be either Chris Jericho or Hangman Page versus the next challenger. And we're also going to see the first ever women's title defense in Philadelphia. So I'm kind of bummed we're not going to see 2 title matches the way Philly gets, but I mean, whatever. And then
we're like the just kind of like bide time till the next show.
Well, hold on, Pep. Before you go on to the next point, if the battle royal if the casino battle royal at All Out is to decide the number 1 contender, does that mean we're going to see the women's world title match at the first episode, and then we'll see it defended at the third? Like, how's that going to work?
Yes,
you know what I mean?
Yes, they did. So they confirmed that. I skipped over the first show, the premiere show. I shouldn't have. We will see the first ever women's champion crowned at the premiere episode on October 2nd.
Awesome.
And then we also have things that have been announced for a while. The Young Bucks and Kenny Omega versus Chris Jericho and 2 mystery partners. And then Cody Rhodes versus Sammy Guevara. And Jon Moxley appearing live. I don't believe he's going to be wrestling. He'll probably cut a promo then. But yeah, it's a really solid lineup. We know what the first 5 weeks of television, and there's pretty appealing things to tune in for in each week.
Yeah, I mean, that's a shitload of really cool stuff right off the bat. And it's really smart on their part, too. I don't think they need any help selling tickets. Philly and Boston sold out in under an hour, which is crazy for their first 2 shows. I think they should have gone with bigger arenas, personally.
You kind of have to test the water. I mean, I think they could have done it, but they kind of they needed to test the water to see what like a regular weekly show would do for sales.
Yeah, I agree that it makes more sense to pack a smaller place than risk having a somewhat empty basketball.
It's a good point.
Honestly, though, like I feel like the bigger venues kind of do the shows a disservice because, like, yes, theoretically you have more people, but I feel like them being more spread out makes it harder to like hear any individual crowd. So, you know, when you've got these smaller arenas with like that are packed with people, then it just makes it feel more lively, and like you can just like really feel the crowd so much more like when you're watching it on TV, because that's what it was like back in, you know, the Attitude Era days. That's the type of venues that they were doing, and it just was
No, they did the Garden back then.
Were they doing big venues like that?
Yeah, definitely. But it does it's the whole like ECW effect, or even Full Sail. It's the same thing.
Yeah,
a smaller place with more
example.
passionate fans. Yeah, but yeah, they definitely could have sold out the Garden here in Boston, the TD Garden. But another question that I have is if TD Garden would have been allowed to, because remember the whole controversy when Madison Square Garden signed up to do the ROH show, and
that's right.
WWE was like, "What are you doing?" So I wonder what kind of deals WWE has with these major basketball like arenas, as far as exclusivity rights for pro wrestling. So maybe they couldn't have done TD Garden.
I don't know. I mean, it'll be interesting to see. If they keep doing small arenas, they're not going to make as much money, but it's going to be really smart because, like you said, having a small arena but packed with fans that are super passionate is going to seem really cool from watching it live. Because, like, with NXT, it's even... like, it doesn't seem as small as it is, and the crowd there always goes nuts. And I feel like as a viewer, especially as a new viewer, it gets you a lot more into the product when the people there watching it are flipping the fuck out.
Yeah, and I mean, like we were saying, it's kind of just like a way to test the waters. If these next 2 shows for Pittsburgh and Charleston, if they sell out within an hour, I think they'll have a pretty good barometer that they should be shooting for bigger places next time.
All I know is in the land of bright lights, far from the flash and fame, they've already begun to prowl. Enter their den and be dominated. Run away and be ripped apart. This is prime time meets primal instinct. This is showtime with a snarl. This is our time to roar. The LA Wildcats Unleashed. February.
Do you think Vince
2020.
McMahon wrote those?
Probably.
Yeah,
Before
It's beautiful, damn it.
Before we get out of here, I just saw this. This just happened 1 hour ago. Golden Boy, the Overwatch commentator who did a great job at Firefest, he tweeted a GIF of somebody signing a contract that said "It's official," and it was liked by Cody Rhodes. So take that for what you will. I hope that means he signed a contract with AEW because he was a great commentator.
They need him desperately. Commentary is one of the areas they're weakest on. I really hope that's what's happening. Oh, quick thing on the women's Battle Royale. I didn't know this until I just read it, but apparently Cedric Alexander's wife, Big Swole, is also in the Battle Royale. I don't know if she's officially signed with AEW or not, but she's going to be in it. And here's one more question before we wrap. How do they determine who faces the winner of the Battle Royale for the title?
I don't think they've gotten that far yet.
Yeah.
I don't know.
All right, cool. Well, we have to end on a positive note, so I'm going to recommend to all of our viewers that you go over to YouTube and search Stone Cold on Hot Ones and do yourself a treat,
Good stuff.
a favor, and watch this episode of Hot Ones. If you're not familiar with it, it's a show where a guy interviews people as they eat hot wings, and as they eat through the wings, the hot sauce on them gets progressively more and more hot to the point of ridiculousness. Stone Cold is on it, and it's a fantastic episode. It's already got, like, I think one of the highest amount of views out of any episode they've ever done. It's crazy.
Yeah, it was number 1 on trending on YouTube when I watched it. And Stone Cold just no-sells the hot sauce. He doesn't even break a sweat by the end of it.
Yeah.
It's crazy, dude. He was so nervous about it. Like,
Yeah, he was like talking about his
multiple
heartbeat and
yeah,
He was like taking his pulse by like feeling his temples multiple
yeah.
times.
like Gordon Ramsay was on it freaking out, and Stone Cold was like, well, this isn't that bad.
Yeah, I've seen people, like, I've watched a few episodes. I've seen people like spit in a bucket. I've seen people like profusely sweating, pouring milk on their face, and Stone Cold was just like, well, goddamn son, this is pretty hot.
He's just eating wings casually.
Oh, son of a bitch, that's kind of hot.
Yeah.
We love you, Stone Cold.
Yeah, so go watch that and then go watch 205 Live for the love of God.
And I'll leave you with this poem, rising from the turbulent sea, beneath the darkening skies of their weather-hardened home, relentless, ruthless, ravenous, not of mythology, but of muscle and might, not of folklore, but of football. This is your darkest fantasy in cleats. The Seattle Dragons, breathing fire. February 2020.
And with that, thanks for listening. It'll do. Do us a huge favor if you could like the show, leave us a review on iTunes, and share it with your friends. We really appreciate you guys listening. We love hearing from you. Last week we had a great email. We'd love to get more from you. You can email us ptw@aiptcomics.com. That's ptw@aiptcomics.com. You can find all of us on aiptcomics.com, where we do the most comic reviews out of anybody every Wednesday. We talk a hell of a lot about wrestling, video games, cosplay, TV, movies, pretty much anything nerdy in pop culture. We got it. You can follow us on Twitter for more information about what we're writing about in the wrestling world, and where you can watch us live tweet shows. And we'll be live tweeting pictures, videos, and pretty much everything from the second TV taping of AEW, so don't miss that. We're at AIPT Wrestling. And with that, we'll end it. So I'm going to leave you with the same thing I always do. Wrestling rules, fuck the world, and party hard.
Go to hell, Natty. And tell your daddy I said hi.